My name is Arnez, and I've worked in tech ministry at Willow Creek for 27 years. I got my start volunteering. My first role was a stagehand. We didn't know the proper theatrical terms for a lot of things, so we made up our own names. I was invited by a group of friends that were already on staff to join staff as a technical director for the children's ministry, and then eventually moved my way over to the middle school ministry. We had this thing called the pipeline, and it grew organically. Techs would join as fifth graders, and then they'd grow, and then we'd bring them over to middle school, and eventually high school, and then they would join the weekend services. To this day, some of our staff are my former guys. The culture that we created on the middle school tech team was more along the lines of just being friends and actually liking each other, and we did community together. Eventually in my career, I was asked to move over into the high school ministry due to my tenure and experience, and I was very resistant to that because I didn't want to get involved in the culture that was high school. They burned through a lot of technical directors. I saw a lot of my friends leave. One of my volunteers at the time came by and said he lamented that I wish they were more like we are. So I saw that as a calling and a challenge to go and affect change over in the high school ministry. That was the first challenge, was getting to know everyone and seeing what they liked and building a community instead of just expecting tasks. Learning things about what they liked, like sports ball. I am so not into sports. I learned sports ball so that I could have conversation and see what they were interested in. I watched Cubs games in order to actually have talking points and just say, hey, that game, man. They could see that I was genuinely interested in their lives. On the technical side, I knew what I was doing. It was hard on the relational side because I had to put myself out there in terms of feelings and just being vulnerable, which is hard as a tech person. For a tech person to share feelings, that's community right there. In 2018, there were allegations against our senior pastor, and he resigned afterwards. It rocked all of our worlds, but I think the part that impacted us on the tech side the most is that it highlighted this culture that we had developed. We would use excellence as the excuse to not take care of yourselves, to not have boundaries, to do so much work that we were just doing damage to our community. We did not realize it at all because that's how it was. At the time, that's how we thought church tech culture was supposed to be, that you just did everything that they asked without question, without boundaries. In 2020, we had a new senior pastor, and he wanted to do things differently. At one of our staff chapels, he started awkwardly going to people and saying, "You are more important to the church than what you can do for the church." And he went to another person, "Jill, you are more important to the church than what you can do for the church. John, you are more important to the church than what you could do for the church. Arnez, you are more important to the church than what you could do for the church." And that was a paradigm shift for our staff. What that did for us as a staff was we learned to trust first. And we learned that with our new leadership, with the care that they had for us, that we could actually risk doing more for them because we knew they cared for us. I've been to almost every Philo. One of the things I really enjoy about Philo is Ellen always says from the stage that we are all responsible for worship, not just the people on the stage. Everyone is responsible for worship. After 27 years in ministry, my two big learnings are youth are our future. I've seen my students become staff. I've seen some of my students become pastors. And the second thing, throw them into deep end. They will make it. If you give them the opportunity, they're going to excel and they're going to rise to it.